everyone, and welcome to another Wavelength Wednesday. My name is Waveney, I'm your host, and every week I share tips and strategies geared towards connecting, inspiring, and influencing you to being your best in your jobs or careers, and eventually it trickles down into your life. So I'm finally here. I'm outside. The weather, is a little bit better. It's a lot better actually. There's not so much wind, and so here we are in my favorite studio outdoors. Alrighty. So happy February, by the way. This month is Black History Month, and I thought, how cool would it be to focus on persons who I admire, that have an impact on me in a large way, in a small way, but they had an impact on me. Maybe it was something they said, and so I thought that it would be really cool to just speak about some persons for Black History Month. So that will be our theme this February. So I decided for our the first person that I want to speak about is none other than Kobe Bryant. And I really wanted to touch on him because his memory is so fresh. The memory of what happened is so fresh in our minds. Not about just what happened, but the legacy and the legend that he was. And I felt like it would be so fitting and it would be wonderful to open you know Wavelength Wednesdays with something's passing. Wavelength Wednesdays with Kobe Bryant. Now, for those persons who know me really intimately, they would be like, what? Kobe Bryant? Is she a basketball fan? No, I don't. I'm not a sports fan. I'm not a sports fan, which is why I'm really excited to share this, because if you live a life that has such an impact and it spills over to persons that is not in your sphere of influence, which is sports, that what you do things are passing up and down, that what you do impacts people, in such a wonderful and magnificent and great way. You know that you've lived your life. You know that that person's life was really impactful. And it's interesting because how I got into Kobe Bryant was a friend of mine sent me a video of an interview that he did. They know I love motivational stuff, and I am always paying attention to things that people are saying, because they could be, they often trigger an idea or a material that for content that I could use with Wavelength, that I could bring to the forum and share it with you. So they shared an interview that Kobe Bryant did, and I was so impressed. I was very, very impressed. And then I later went on, I did some more research, and I realized that he was doing all these great things in the world. He was writing children's books. He had his Mamba Academy. He was really focused on being the best, right? And so I just want to bring some points that really struck me when it comes to Kobe Bryant. So the first thing that struck me was his mindset, right? And for those of you who have followed me, our very first Wavelength episode was on mindset, right? And so his mindset fascinate me, the winning mindset, but not so much the winning mindset, but his persona of the Mamba mentality, right? And I found that interesting, right? The mentality, the Mamba mentality. So the black mamba, for those of you who don't know, the black mamba is a deadly snake in Africa that is known for being quick and agile, right? That's the first thing that you should know. The second thing that you should know is Kobe Bryant got that name. He liked that name when he saw the Kill Bill series. I really love those movies, by the way. Kill Bill. Um, so there was an assassin in those movies by the name of the Black Mamba, and so he adopted that the phrase Mamba, Black Mamba, from that movie. And so, what is the Mamba mentality? But before I go into what I like about the Mamba mentality, I want to say to you that a lot of successful people create a persona. They create, some people call it an alter ego, a persona that they switch into when they're about to perform. So a few weeks ago, I saw something about Beyonce, and Beyonce, I don't think it was her who was sharing the video. It was somebody who was talking about, you know, adopting a type of persona. But they were saying that, Beyonce grew up in church. She grew up in church singing gospel songs, da 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 da. And so for her now to be really successful, to now performing on stage, she's wearing these outfits that are very scanty. She has to behave in this, she's doing all these provocative dance moves that she created Sasha Fierce. And there's actually an interview with her speaking about it with Oprah about that. But that's not where I side. So a lot of successful people, especially performers, sports fans, whomever, they create a personality that they could switch into. It's like an actor. When they're about to perform, they put on that clothing, they become that character. And a lot of people do that to help push them through to that next level. So this is quite normal. So I just wanted to plug that in there. So the Mamba mentality, what is it? What did Waveney glean from that? So the first thing I realized is he used the word obsessive a lot, and he was obsessive. And I feel like we all don't, and that's the thing, we all don't have to be a Kobe Bryant to be successful in life. We could be successful at any level. Like, you could be successful as a mom, you could be successful as a dad, like being the best mom, being the best dad, because we all, I feel, have our roles, and our success looks different to many of us, right? I want to be the best at what I'm doing so I could live a real value and impact every time you view something from the people's brand. So you have to be obsessive about what you do. He was obsessive about the game. In one interview, he spoke about attention to detail. And attention to detail is something that is lacking so often in persons with the things that they do. And I'll give you an example. So in my primary job, I do lots of interviews. I come across lots of resumes. And here is a tiny thing that sticks out to me, that I don't hold people against it, but I say to myself, this is something that they should look at. It's something small. Lots of the times, people type resumes, and they send you resumes, and the fonts are different. So, for example, half of the letter might be in Times New Roman, and the other part of it would be in Arial. I mean, to me, that shows that you're not reviewing what you do. And that usually happens when people paste and copy and they don't even, you know, format the letter for to get one particular font. If you're going to paste and copy, at least format your document so that all the font is the same throughout the document, right? And that is something tiny and that is something small. Yes, you might say, but really, I didn't people look at that? Yes, people do look at that, and I am willing to bet that there are some recruiters that are even wouldn't hire people just because of that, because you're not paying attention. It's attention to detail, and Kobe was about that. So I brought that example so you can kind of look at your life and see where you're missing attention to detail. Do you do things half-assed? Do you do things like, oh, I'm tired, when I'm finished? No, right? So develop that obsessiveness, develop that attention to detail, right? He was also on the quest for excellence, right? And one of the things I picked up from him is, yes, he competed, but he also competed against himself. A lot of the times we spend a lot of time looking at others. Oh, this person has that, this person is doing this person is doing that. But on your quest for excellence, you must be, your biggest competitor should be yourself, right? Because the, the biggest battle we face is internal. Biggest battle we face is internal. We have fears, we have, you know, all these things going on. We could, and you see that with successful people who kill themselves, and you wonder what the hell is going on. They had everything. Yes, they had everything, but they just didn't believe in themselves. Their biggest enemy was their mind. It was themselves. And so you have to be on a quest for excellence, right? And Kobe was always focused on getting better, right? He was focused on that. He studied the game, and a lot of successful people do that. They would they have a game, probably they won, they don't walk away saying, yay, oh great, we did. No, you know, coaches, sports coaches, what they do is they replay the game, and everybody looks at, you know, each step, each action, break it down to see, okay, what could we do better? And this is, you could implement this in your life. It's called reflection, right? It's just that these people do it on a much higher level. It's called reflection. If you reflect, right, at the end of each day, on what end of each week, you know, on what you could do better, then you will get better. Before I put out these wavelength videos, I'm always looking at them, I'm always viewing them. And you know, the other day I was looking, while I was editing, was looking and listening, and I felt so proud of myself, because when I think back to my earlier tapes, I was like, oh my god, I was so nervous. Now my wavelength series is going, it's like 24 minutes, 20 minutes, I just can't seem to shut up, right? So you always should be on the quest for excellence, and he was focused on getting better. And this is why he could retire at such a young age, because he did what he set out to do. He played all out. He became the best. What does the best you look like? What does the best you look like? And I feel like this is something that we can all ask ourselves. You know, just do your best, be your best. Give it 100%. Is that your best? Give it 100%. Is that your best? And keep pushing ourselves, right? Be the best you. And then you'll walk away with no regrets. No regrets, no regrets, no regrets whatsoever. The third point I want to extract is that he studied the great ones and he asked lots of questions. So in the interview that put me on to Kobe, the gentleman had asked him a question, and he said something like he went to Goat Mountain. I can't remember the question, but the question had to do with something like, how did you become great, or something like that. He said he went to Goat Mountain. So what does that mean? He studied the great ones. He asked Michael Jordan. He asked, I'm really not into basketball, right? Because I can't remember their names. He asked Hakeem Olajuwon. Am I messing up his name? Don't laugh. But you get the idea. He asked the great ones, right? I'm telling you, this guy, for me to sit here and be talking about this guy, I'm not doing this for likes or credit, but I'm doing it because that interview really, I was like, wow, wow. I was so impressed, and I was so inspired, right? I was so inspired. And so I had to speak about Kobe today. I had to. But he asked questions. So my point is, look at somebody who is where you want to get to and call them up. Ask a question if you can. If you can't, then look at them, view them. Maybe it's somebody on the internet. Then you look at them from you start you start them, your internet start them. You look at what they're doing. You read the books they read. You look at what their routine is. But you can only get better or as good as them, right? So he studied the great ones and he asked lots of questions, and that is something that we have to do. And don't be afraid. One of the things I do on my social media, I don't follow people that I can't learn from. I don't follow them that if I can't learn from them. If I follow you, and I'm not talking about, friends or acquaintances, stuff like that. I'm talking about other social media influencers. If I can't learn, then I don't want you on my social media page. The fourth thing is choice, right? He chose to be committed, and we always have a choice. Lots of the times we feel like life is this random thing that's happening to us, that, oh, this is happening, I don't have any control, or, this kind of victim mentality. We all have choices, and we have more power than we think. And I want to leave you with, are your commitments taking you towards or taking you away from your dreams? This is a question you have to ask yourself, right? And we all make commitments, and we all make choices. And I'm gonna get into the other point. So think about that. The other point that speaks to the one before about choices and commitment is Kobe made sacrifices, right? He made a lot of sacrifices. He focused on his craft. He wanted to become the best. As a matter of fact, straight from high school, 18 years old, he went into the NBA, right? And that's what he wanted. And he played just for one team. He was never traded. He didn't want to do that. He was committed, he was loyal, and he played for the Lakers until the day he retired, right? And he made sacrifices. And on your way to being a success, whatever success is to you, you're gonna have to say no a lot. You can't live the same life and do the same thing if you want to be a success, right? If you want to be the best mom, you can't always, there's sometimes you're going to have to tell your boss, I'm sorry, I can't stay back today, and I'm a fan of this. I have to go and see my child run at sports day, for example. Some persons, for some of you this is easy, but for some persons this is not. Some persons who really love their job and they get caught up, their family life suffers, right? It's a sacrifice at times. But whatever you want to be great at, you're going to have to make a sacrifice. And along that way, your relationships will suffer, right? Something has got to give. So whether it is that you are saying no to your friends because you have a goal and you're only going to do this particular thing, right? I actually have a friend that said that to me. I asked her the other day, I said, are you going to such and such? And she was like, no, I'm not doing anything until this. And I really admired that about her. And sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we have to plan our where we want to go, our outings, our leisure activity, because we are focusing on something that is greater, right? So sometimes you have to say no. Some of your relationships will suffer because, and people are going to feel bad. The people who don't understand and the people who are, I should say, not meant to be, they're going to fall along the way. They're going to fall along the way. But the people who are meant to be, the people who will support you, the people who understand, they're going to stick with you. Because the thing about it is, it's not that you're going to be focused on that one thing all the time. When it's time to play, you will play. And so think about the sacrifices that you have to make to get to where you need to be, right? Another sacrifice that he made, right? He pushed himself so much. He tore his Achilles heel, and that injury, that sports injury, you know, I listened to everybody and they said people don't come back from that, but he came back from that. He came back from that because of his Mamba mentality. What is Mamba mentality? Because of his mindset. He could have said, okay, I could retire now, this is it for me, I'm X amount of years old. You know, the media likes to do that. They like to say, well, if somebody is gonna, for example, be a model, they may say something like, oh, they're X amount of years old, so that's very old to be a model. Society and people around us like to box us in and put us in these confined areas. So I'm here to tell you to defy that, right? To exceed that, to excel at that, to do what you want to do, to continue pushing for your dreams, right? So push yourself. And from what I understand is the Achilles injury is not an easy injury to recover from, but Kobe did it. And if Kobe did it, you can do it. Because the thing about it is, right, we tend to glorify these people. They seem like such superstars, and you know, they seem like they're from another world. They're no different than us, they're no different from us, right? The only thing that's different is that they put in the work, and it is hard work, because you're going to encounter days when you don't want to do certain things. You're going to get demotivated. It happens, but you've got to find a way of pushing it. I looked at an interview, and he was telling the interviewer how he was ahead with training. So if persons are going in the gym like once or twice, he was up at 4 o'clock getting in training. So he would train, I think it was almost either 3 or 4 times a day, just to get better, just to get better. So these are some of the things that people do. They're no different, but they want to put in the work. They want to be a success at what they do, right? And so I want to leave you with this thought. What is your mentality? What is your mentality? Is your mentality moving you in the direction, an elevated direction? Is your mentality moving you in the direction of your dreams, of your goals, of your intentions, or is it moving you away? Right? This is really for you to reflect on those habits, those routines, those things about yourself, those actions, how you think. What is your mentality? So it's either pushing you down or elevating you. And so I leave you with that thought-provoking question. If you love this video, please share it with your friends and family. And if you'd love to be coached, if you love, you know, the messages that I'm putting out, and you'd like a one-on-one, please send me an email at hellowaveney@thepeoplebrandskn.com. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to help you. Thank you so much, and